for. So on April 8th, we are going to have our new moon total solar eclipse taking place in Aries energy. This is the event that the whole world has lost their mind about. Can't wait for it to come to pass so that we can all kind of settle on what did or did not happen. And again, I'm kind of leaning towards, again, just reminding you that this is more of an energetic event in consciousness than it is in the physical realm of events happening. And again, just in the back of your mind, just understand that if anything pops off here in the physical realm, it is likely a man-made event. Of course, we still have to kind of sit back and watch how these events are going to unfold. So let me also just say that if you're interested in doing a deep dive in this eclipse, especially in the axis of the eclipses that we're currently on between the Aries and Libran energy, if you want to dive into the mythology, if you want to have some of the answers that have been kind of floating about here on social media answered, and you want to do a deep dive in your own chart and where some of these aspects and triggers are actually going to activate certain areas of your own life, I'm going to invite you to jump over, subscribe to the Moon Guide, get your spot for this particular eclipse edition. And of course, you can either sign up to my Patreon and access all of these classes in that particular platform, or you can find the Moon Guide on my website. Either way, we are doing a huge deep dive into this particular event, as we do in all the moon events, and how it actually applies to you. So I'm definitely going to recommend that you jump over and you sign up for that. Of course, if you're not willing to do that, there is still a ton of information that you can access to understand how this particular event is going to affect you the most. This is a time where you could download your April zodiac forecast and understand where it's going to be manifesting in your life due to particular solar placements. You could also be downloading the Aries season e-guide, flipping to this particular event, and of course capturing what is going on for you. Kind of doing, I'm going to say, the basic of research and, let's say, investigative tools into your own birth chart, using that as a guide to assist you through this wackadoodle energy. If all you do is sit back and listen to this astro forecast, then that is just as well. I just want to remind you that this particular eclipse energy is a continuation, if you will, of the eclipse timeline, storylines that we've been trying to sort through since October of 2022. Technically, 2023, there was a taste of that. We were ending and closing the chapters in October 22, preparing the foundation, the structure for this storyline to take place. And of course, we're on this Aries and Libran axis, which is all about relationship dynamics. Now, I am going to encourage you to go back, listen to the full moon lunar eclipse in Libra forecast, revisit, if you did step in and you did get a spot for that moon guide presentation, go back to that, reflect upon it, because this is a continuation of that story. But we also have to understand that this new moon is closing out the new moon in Pisces cycle that we experienced that full moon lunar eclipse in Libra at the peak precipice of that particular lunar cycle as well. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot overlapping. And again, if you're interested in astrology and actually using astrology for your personal development, then that is why I recommended to do a deep dive in those particular resources. So let's talk about it. First of all, a new moon is a time for a new cycle to begin. We sit in the darkness. The new moon is the dark phase of the moon. There is no illumination of light in the sky. This is where most of us have reached a breakdown/boiling point, where certain aspects, certain people, certain situations and circumstances we just have had enough of. We can't do it anymore. We don't want to experience it anymore. And from that frustration, from that breaking point, we now come up with alternatives of what it is that we would prefer in the place of the things that we know we no longer want to pour into. That framework, those seeds become the intentions that we are focused on that get rooted in, anchored in for manifestation under any new moon phase. But of course, this is a special new moon phase because it is a solar eclipse. Not only that, it is a total solar eclipse. Now, a solar eclipse, typically speaking, adds something to our lives. It gifts us something. It may not appear to be a gift at the beginning because it does take about 6 months to fully understand, fully realize that whatever popped off under these eclipse events were actually a gift for us instead of a punishment or a loss to us. Again, it's all about perspective. This is taking place in Aries energy. Aries energy is a cardinal fire sign. So this is a change of tide, change of fortune, change of season. Because of the cardinal energy, a fire sign means that there's a new spark, new fire, new flame, new passion, new desire, a new fragment of vibration and frequency that is now kind of being activated in our soul self that now needs to be expressed through the egoic form of our physical body avatar. Aries energy is the very first sign of the zodiac wheel. This is where we're building the new sense of self that essentially we've been working on since, I'm going to say, October 2023. Why? Because that new moon in Scorpio was when we brought forth this new vibration, this new frequency. It took until January 11th, that new moon in Capricorn, to actually anchor it in, to start using the new qualities, the new characteristics of this new version of self here in the physical form. We, since January, have been working on refining this new version of self, whittling away, releasing, purging the old fragments of the old version of self, the old realm, the old reality, the old everything that came along with who it is that we had to be in survivor mode. We are now shifting into thriver mode, the Aries energy, helping us to build the relationship with thyself. The full moon in Libra had us recognizing who and what needed to stay, who and what needed to go. Mostly who needed to go. Why? Because Libran energy was about the relationships that we're having with other people, emphasizing the codependency of relationships that we have with other people. Recognizing where it is because of our attachments to other people, we're not honoring our own wants, needs, and desires. Therefore, the Libran energy had us really examining where it is that we had to break away from being too interconnected, too intertwined, too attached to the relationship dynamics that we're having outside of us. And now the Aries energy is showing us where it is that we have to build the relationship with ourselves, inside of us. Standing in our power, standing in our creator force energy. So this particular total solar eclipse event will be taking place at 19 degrees in Aries energy. We will be popping off, seeing its peak potency on April 8th at 2:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the fourth of 6 eclipses on this particular Aries and Libra axis. This is the third solar eclipse. And if we take a look at the degrees, technically speaking, this eclipse event is the total polar opposite to the eclipse that we had in Libran energy, October 2023. Again, if you've been with me for any amount of time, you would know humanity had an absolute failure at that time. We had the ability to jump into some serious elevated timelines. We failed miserably because of the conflict that popped off in the Middle East. Many of us fell off the bandwagon. Many of us chose sides. Many of us kind of pressurized the division that humanity is currently in at this particular point in time. And of course, the whole goal here is to unify. So that kind of set us back a bit. And if you've been listening for me to any amount of time, you would know that this new moon total solar eclipse in Aries is a choice point that I do not feel very confident that humanity has their shit together in a way that will kind of collapse the timelines in which we were looking to collapse. And I don't think that we have the ability to align with the highest timeline available to us. I think that we're downgrading just a tad. Now, that being said, this is an energetic event. This is a elevation, an enlightenment, an evolving of consciousness. And let me just say that, again, if you've been listening to me for any amount of time, you would know that I don't understand the hype around this particular event, especially with the man-made fear-mongering hype, because this is not the first time that we've had an eclipse, let alone a total solar eclipse, let alone a total solar eclipse in Aries energy. Prior to this, we were working with the Aries and Libran axis from 2004 to 2006, and then after that from 2013 to 2016. So like, we've done this before. Now granted, this particular energy is helping us to kind of, anchor into thyself, because we all have to step into our creative force energy power in order to be a co-creator for New Earth. But at the same time, we have to actually know thyself in order to heal thyself. And many of us are just getting started on that healing journey. And so this particular eclipse event is about us returning to our real, raw, authentic vibration of self. This is about us understanding that we have a personal path, personal goal, personal mission, personal quest, and purpose in order for us to really anchor in to who it is that we've always been underneath the egoic layers of fluff that comes from the social programming and conditioning. This is an opportunity for us to boss up. This is an opportunity for us to tap into a new level of bravery, of courage. This is a new opportunity for us to choose a path that, may be a little bit more of a solo adventure, really pushing us more into our independence than ever before. But this is about us recognizing what it is that we want, need, desire, what we're passionate about, what we're inspired to do and pursue and create in this lifetime. So it is quite an energetic shift. This is about new beginnings. And realistically speaking, we aren't even entering into a new chapter. I kind of feel like we are throwing the old book out and we are starting a brand new book. Brand new book. I want you to just visualize what it's like to open the pages of a brand new book, the smell, the crispiness of those pages, the anticipation, the excitement, the joy, the pleasure that you get from this clean slate, what we're about to dive into, what we're about to create. It's a very exciting time. And because we are in the situation that we're in with some of the other planetary aspects popping off, this is a brand new beginning for a very, very long-term timeline that we are just kind of initiating. We are just setting the cornerstone foundational, let's say, points of this new foundation. And I'm going to give you my building the house analogy. So we have had this idea to build a house. This is the point in time when we're watching the foundation be poured. Now, many of us have ants in the pants. We want to get to building right away. But if you know anything about building houses, you have to understand we have to step back. We have to let that foundation settle. We have to allow that foundation to illuminate the cracks that may occur in the settling process. We do not want to build our dream house on a weak-ass foundation. So that's where we're at. This particular energy, let's talk about it. Mars is in his rulership over this Aries energy. He's in his rulership over this Aries season. But Mars, he's in Pisces energy right now. He's not able to take action and make moves. He is focused on becoming emotionally, intuitively, and spiritually in alignment with a new mission, a new goal, new purpose. He will get his chance to take action and make moves and make up for lost time at the end of April when he moves into his rulership. However, right now, this is going to be a spiritual and karmic cleansing on top of initiating, anchoring in new intentions, new passions, new desires. So it's very much like we're cleaning the slate, we're adding something to it, we're making sure that the old isn't coming back on the new, we're making sure that the new is stable enough to actually last the long term of this building process. So we're likely to get highlighted to a lot of the challenges that we've been struggling with, especially around kind of standing on our own 2 feet, dancing to the beat of our own drum, doing what we have to do, which of course is usually the right thing for us to do, but it's the hard thing for us to do, which means that we need to access a new level of courage and bravery within us. This is about self-empowerment. And many of us have been struggling with this particular energy, a lot to do with the codependent relationship dynamics that should have come into full illumination under that full moon lunar eclipse in Libra energy. This is about us getting a glimpse of our real, raw, true, authentic selves and anchoring into that. This is about us now understanding where we can't continue to go back, where we can't continue to live in the past, where we have to start fresh and move on a straightforward path into the future. We have a new sincerity that we're working with, a new bravery that we're working with, a new passion, a new desire, a new inspiration that we're working with. Yes, the urge to take action and make moves is going to be overwhelming, but again, Mars, the ruler of this event, is in Pisces energy. We have to go with the flow. We're on pause right now. We will get that green light go ahead towards the end of the month, but now is not the time for doing big things. This is a time for us to reevaluate, realign, re-edit, revise. Yep, you're right. Those are all words. And what do we have going on? Mercury's retrograde. What is Mercury retrograding in Aries all about? Well, revisiting, revising, re-editing, redesigning who it is that we are. The relationship with thyself. The Libra energy that we just came out of was focused on the relationship dynamics with others. Now we have to look inward. Now we have to look at the relationship dynamic with ourselves. So we have to avoid acting on impulse, especially through this eclipse energy. We do not want to jump into anything new, nor do we want to jump to conclusions, because again, eclipse energies means that we're not seeing things clearly. There's something hidden away from us. The eclipse in itself is kind of blurring the lines, if you will, so that we don't see clearly. Why? Because we need to trust our intuition. We need to trust our higher self, that we're on the path that we need to be on. The eclipse energy is the universe in control and sorting us out and putting us on the path that we failed to put ourselves upon. So this is going to be a time where if you kind of, give into your urges, if you do act on impulse, if you do initiate something new, if you do kind of jump into a new commitment or jump into a conclusion without the full picture being revealed to you, you are going to create a shit show. You are going to have some repercussions of those particular actions that are going to be so messy that you are going to have to clean up a mess before you're going to be able to move forward. And just to give you an idea, there are a lot of wackadoodle things taking place underneath this eclipse that aren't going to work out so well for the people that are taking part. One example, there's like 300 couples choosing to get married under this eclipse energy. Total backwards, Libra energy is where we get married. The full moon lunar eclipse in Libra energy is getting rid of those relationships. We do not want to marry other people, combine our energies with other people under an energetic influence that supports us to be independent. So those particular people are in for a rude awakening over the next couple of years. Mark my word, they will divorce under the next eclipse axis energies. But I digress. If you're interested in some of that stuff, I would recommend that you reserve your spot for the Moon Guide edition of this particular eclipse event, because that's where I kind of go on rant and raves about the different things that we're reading about in social media platforms and in relation to, again, this eclipse, what that's going to mean for the people actually partaking. But again, I digress. So there is a lot going on with this particular eclipse. There are major positive aspects taking place that, surprisingly, there's very few aspects taking place under this eclipse, but the ones that are taking place are so profound, are so rare, are so unique that it has no choice but to leave a very long-term, long-lasting impression on us. And again, if you're interested in the astrology aspects that will be popping off, again, that is a Moon Guide content superstar spotlight where we're going to go through all of the different aspects and actually apply it to your individual chart. So again, another reason to reserve your spot. So basically what we're getting here is that we are in a very energetically charged time, a time of change and transition, especially with what it is that we need to do to be our real, raw, most authentic self. This is going to be a very interesting time to step back and observe, because that is the mood and the attitude that we are in. Again, having to resist some of those urges, some of those impulses that are definitely going to give you a good go. This is I'm going to say a fresh, clean start to a new timeline, new soul contracts, to a new chapter, and again, technically new book in not only our own individual lives, but on the collective stage.